Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and today is June 12th, 2024. Happy Pride, y'all. This is Flosstube number 121. So this shirt is a gift from my friend Alicia Resist Stitch, who is the most amazing human, and she contacted me and asked me for my address, and I was like, okay, cool, probably sending me a card or something, and this shirt showed up in the mail. She bought this from, she told me it was from a trans artist, but I don't think she noted who it was. So I'm going to ask her, and I'll link it down below. But yeah, I think she got a few of these, like, just to support, people in the community during Pride Month, and, just like bestow loveliness on friends. And I love it. I think it's all in frame. If it's not, it says the gays can do whatever they want. Amen. Amen. So if you have some kind of issue with any of this, like, you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place. You can just quietly see yourself out. It's okay. It's not okay, but like, you don't need to announce it. You know, you can just head on out if this isn't your vibe. Show yourself to the door. All right, stitching. I've got stitching. So I have a couple finishes, and I have started a bunch of things because it's all I wanted to do. Like, for the last month and a half, I like my whips. I really do. It's not that I don't like them. I just have not felt any like compulsion to get any out and work on them. So I've just been starting things left and right. If you are new to like Flosstube land and you're like, what is a whip? It's WIP, work in progress. So a whip is just a cross stitch pattern that you have started but not finished. So it's a work in progress. So I don't think I have any of those. I just have a couple finishes and some new starts that are now whips. All right, I want to keep this moving. I hope I don't get too chatty. I do like when I don't have as much to show, and then I can just kind of relax and like chat a little bit with you guys. But like, I don't know. So like, entice me to keep this video from being too long. I have not allowed myself to have my afternoon iced coffee yet, and I really, really want it. So I got to finish this video so I can go get it. You already know. You already know if I succeeded or not. I hope I did. I hope I did, because I'd like a nice coffee right now. All right, so what did I finish since last time? Well, I finished another Mill Hill kit from my mother. I stitched these. I stitched this for Mother's Day. Yes, it is June 12th. I'm getting these in the mail hopefully in the next couple days. Sorry, Mom. But the first one I stitched was, I think this one was called Coffee Server. This is a Mill Hill kit. It's Jim Shore. And I showed this in my last video, and it was fully finished. You've already seen this. This is a Mill Hill frame in the color taupe. So I had a second kit in this series. I think there's 5 or 6 coffee related patterns in this series, and they all like color coordinate and go together. So I did go ahead and grab the other one out and stitched it and finished it, and this is Coffee Pot, and it is in the same taupe Mill Hill frame. They are very slightly different because I did not buy them at the same time. This one I think had been around for a while, and this one I just bought off 123 Stitch, so I think just a newer like lot. I do think that the taupe is pretty spot on, but the wood around the painted is slightly different. I don't think it's a big enough deal to like bother anybody. I think it's fine. So anyway, those stitched up pretty quick. I think maybe 4 or 5 days, if that. It didn't take that long to stitch. So now there's a cute little matching pair. Very cute. Those are going to my mother. So Coffee Server and Coffee Pot, Jim Shore from Mill Hill. Came in a kit. Oh, one last thing. This was a kit that came with 14 count Aida instead of the usual perforated paper that you typically would associate with a Mill Hill kit. They do have some kits that are on fabric instead of perforated paper. I love perforated paper. Stitching those on perforated paper is quite nice, but these were on fabric. I'm trying to set those down quietly because I noticed in my last few videos, after I'm done with something, I just like toss it on the floor and it's fine. And I pick, right when I'm done filming, I pick up, but like when I was watching on playback, it was kind of loud every time I like slammed something down on the floor. So I do apologize if that bothered anybody in my last few videos. I'm so sorry. So anyway, new start. No, wait, sorry. I lied. One more finish, but it also was a new start. I think I showed this in my last video though. I think it was already out and about. This was a stitch along hosted by Tiny Modernist on her Patreon. She started a Patreon in the fall. So it's kind of new. I hadn't even realized she had started a Patreon. But I get her email newsletter and she had sent an email out saying like, hey, I got a new Sal over on my Patreon, and it just like the little sneak peek looked so cute. So I went and signed up for her Patreon to participate in the stitch along. I didn't even know she had a Patreon before that. And it was very reasonable. I think it was maybe $7 a month to join, and you're gonna get a pattern every month like through that subscription. So anyway, this is the Forest Friends stitch along. It is completed and I did complete it. This is stitched on a 30 count linen that my friend Diana, it is Kismet Stitches. She dyed this and just sent it to me as a gift. But I did use all the called for DMC for the stitching. So it is just so sweet and so cute. I love it. It stitched up really quick. So it was released in 4 parts and they each took like 2 or 3 days for me to stitch if I got like good stitching time. Maybe 4 days if, you know, if I was scrolling reels on Instagram too much that evening and not stitching. I'm trying to break that habit. But yeah, I love this. I think it came out so cute. Highly recommend anything by Tiny Modernist. Oh, I did make one little change. So I did say I stitched with all the called for DMC, and that is true except for the border. This border just called to be stitched in DMC Blanc, so just white. I used a speckled, I think it was a Night Stalker. Is it Night Stalker Crawling? Is that what that floss company is called? It was floss that I got in like a mystery box. I think it's Night Stalker Calling. That might not be right. It's something like that. Anyway, it was like a speckled floss, and but pale, like these pale peachy blue and white speckles. And it's one of those flosses that you're always like, what do I do with this? And I found they work really well for borders like this. So I just make sure that like some of these colors show up in the overall palette, and I think it looks really nice. So I'm happy with that. I love it. It's so cute. Okay, so those are my 2 finishes. All right, so then I had a new start. So as most of you may know, Bridgerton season 3 did come back a couple, well, it's been a month now because part 2 is this weekend. So about a month ago. Gosh, has it been that long since my last video? I thought I did better this time. We're just under a month. Darn it. I really thought I was like at the 3-week mark. I'm trying to get better, but obviously that's not happening. Anyway, Bridgerton season 3 premiered, and there was a pattern that had come out a while back that I had my eye on but hadn't like popped on actually doing it yet. So I remembered as I was like, you know, getting back in the Bridgerton spirit, I was like, you know, Nuri had a Bridgerton pattern, didn't she? So I went and looked. So Nuri at Shaded Stitchery had released a pattern when the Queen Charlotte like spin-off show came out last summer. And that's in the Bridgerton universe. So the pattern is Queen of Sorrows and Joys. I will insert a picture, of course. And this pattern was inspired by the Queen Charlotte character, but she also appears in the Bridgerton series. So I thought, that's fitting. I think I'm going to like rewatch, binge Bridgerton, season 1, 2, and the Queen Charlotte show. And then, of course, season 3. And I'll work on this while I do so. So, I don't think I ended up starting it though until I got to season 3. So I didn't get really far on this. But I did get this started. I need to put something behind it because the fabric is kind of see-through. Okay, so this is like not my usual kind of like fabric and floss combo. I'm not afraid of color or bold choices. I don't think it would have ever occurred to me to do like a purpley lavender on a deep red. Like just wouldn't have crossed my mind. But when I was trying to decide what color I wanted to stitch this pattern in, because it's a monochrome pattern, I went and looked at some of like the costumes that Queen Charlotte had worn on the show to see if like anything spoke to me. And I found this picture and I kept just coming back to it and coming back to it. And it's her in like a lavender dress, but she's sitting on this beautiful like red velvet sofa. And I just kept returning to this image. So I decided to see if I could, recreate it through my fabric and floss combo. So that's where the color inspiration came from. So this is another 30 count linen that Diana dyed. But the floss is DMC Color Variations, and I'm so sorry I don't have it right in front of me, but I can definitely like get the number to anybody who needs it. But it's like a periwinkle lavender white variegated floss in the Color Variations line. And I think it's showing up really well in this fabric. I wasn't sure how it would, because sometimes with like with a bold fabric choice like this, it can change the way your fabric appears, or that your floss appears. So like if you, let's say I wanted to do like a super light pale yellow, it could almost appear white, just the way it plays with the background color. So I just was like, God, I hope it even looks purple when I stitch it. And I think it does. And I'm really happy with how it's looking. This pattern is not very large. It's stitching up really quick. I think this was only 2 nights of stitching. And I got like a nice start. I was really having fun stitching this, and I really wanted to keep going with it, but I needed to get a start on my Zodiac girl for Taurus season. So if you haven't watched before, you're not aware. So Nora Corbett, the designer for Mirabilia, did a Zodiac girl for all of the Zodiac signs. And I decided this year that I wanted to stitch them all, but I want to stitch them all like in their Zodiac season, or at least start them. They do stitch up really quick. I have finished a few of them in like less than a week. This one I did not get a finish, unfortunately. But anyway, it was almost Gemini season. Like the clock was ticking. I was like, I have to get Taurus started before we flip over to Gemini season. And so that's why I had to put Queen of Sorrows and Joys down, because I needed to get a start on Taurus from Nora Corbett. So again, all 12 Zodiacs have been designed and released. I have done Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. Aries is not beaded yet, but she is fully stitched, and I showed her in the last video. And hopefully next video I'll have her beaded and done. Taurus, unfortunately, I only got a little start on her, but I got a start nonetheless. I am stitching all of these on 28 count Monaco that I am dyeing myself. I am doing them all on different colored fabric, but they're all going to be on the same like base fabric so that they all can be framed the same. You know what? I have one right here. Let me grab it so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is Pisces. So they're all going in these oval frames. I got these at Michael's actually. I think they're Anchor, they might be Anchor brand. And they look like a wood, it's like a faux wood grain hoop, but it's actually like a flexible plastic. So these are actually hoops that you can stitch in too. You can use them just as hoops for stitching. But I thought they were quite cheap and affordable to use as a framing hoop instead of just a stitching hoop. But anyway, this is 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. That is Pisces. She is stitched as charted. I love that Nora gave us some diverse skin tones in this series. However, I think only 2 have really different skin tones. So Pisces and Aquarius are women of color. The other 10, to me, I haven't looked really close, but my recollection is that the other 10 are the usual Mirabilia skin tone, which is like 948, 730, it's 754. I'm looking at the back. 754 and 948 are kind of like the ones she uses the most, with 948 being like the main color of the skin. And I mean, they're pretty. I'm stitching 12 of these. I don't want 10 of them to have the exact same skin tone. That's just silly. So I will be doing conversions here and there. And I do that very often with Mirabilias anyway, because again, while she does occasionally have some diverse skin tones, the bulk of these pretty ladies are that 948 skin tone. And I just don't want like a whole wall of pretty ladies that are all the same skin tone. It's just bizarre to me. I want more variety. So I'm looking over here because I have all my Mirabilias like hanging up over here. I should do a tour someday and like show you guys. So anyway, I do occasionally change them up. So I did all that long-winded way to say I did change the skin tone on this. Unfortunately, I didn't get super far on this one. She's not going to be finished. But I got a respectable start. So here is my start on Taurus. So as you can see, I did deepen up that skin tone. The hair is as charted. And this was the 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. I love the way this fabric came out. And like I said, I'll be doing fun fabrics for all of them. I need to start Gemini soon. I think Gemini season ends like, maybe the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around there. So I need to get a start on Gemini. I have the fabric ready to go. She's so cute. All right, that's Taurus. These stitch really fast. These are small. Stitch count is 80 wide by 135 high. Nice and blingy. There are a lot of beads on this one, so I can't wait to actually like get the stitching done and get into the beads. Yeah, there is Taurus. So then I was just like in the Mirabilia mood, and I really wanted to do Mira May, and I had these big plans. I was gonna start 4 or 5. It might have been 5. I was going to start 5 like Mirabilia or Nora Corbett stitches. So I was going to start Taurus, I was going to start Gemini, and then I had a few others picked out, but just things got away from me, and I quickly realized like I wasn't going to be able to commit to that. It wasn't going to happen. But I did go ahead and start one more because this one had just been like screaming at me, and I just really wanted to start it. So I did. So this is a Mirabilia. This is Moonlight Laguna Mermaid. And this is a Mirabilia pattern that you can buy like as the usual like style that the pattern comes in. But this actually was originally released in a magazine. So it was the Cross Stitch and Needlework magazine, July of 2014. So if anybody has that magazine laying around, Moonlight Laguna Mermaid is in that magazine. My friend Amy sent this to me. I think I love the border. The border is just so stunning. But something really interesting about this is that this chart is in color in the magazine. So I'm going to show you just a little piece of the chart here. You can't really do anything with this. This is the bottom of the chart, but it's in color. And that's unusual. But when you buy a Mirabilia pattern the normal way, it's just a black and white chart. I really enjoyed stitching from a color chart for Mirabilia. It was just much easier to find your place on this chart. And I did find with this magazine, I found it like clear. The chart is clear and easy to read. I had no problem stitching from the magazine. This is a smaller Mirabilia. She is, but she's not tiny. She's 131 by 170. She features many Caron water lilies. Most Mirabilias do have, like these days, I feel like they'll come with maybe 1 or 2. This one has 6 Caron water lilies, so it's heavily utilized. And then it has some Krynic, so it's a little sparkly. So anyway, let me show you. I could not put this down. I was having the best time stitching this Mirabilia. I literally, I had to force myself to stop. I did not want to. I was just loving it. And I did do a skin conversion on this one as well. I just felt like she has like a very tropical kind of vibe, this mermaid. So I was thinking like Pacific Islander kind of vibe. And so I thought I would go with more of like that kind of skin tone for her. So everything else is as called for, but I did change her skin tone. By the way, I don't like gatekeep my conversions. If you ever want one that I've done, just message me. I keep a notes app. I keep a note stock on my phone that has them all like on there. So if you want it, just let me know. But I did do the skin conversion, and I just love how it turned out. And this was truly just, I was having so much fun stitching this. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I was just having a blast with this. This fabric is Bestitch Me. It's a 32 count Lugana, so it's got that even weave to it. And it's a Bestitch Me in the color Reef, which is just beautiful. And I picked that up in person when I visited Bestitch Me last year. It was around Labor Day. I was able to see this in person, and I picked this up, and I knew I was gonna do mermaids on it, like for sure. And this one's so small. I got a fat quarter, so I still have like this much fabric left. I've got a good chunk left still. Beautiful, beautiful. I could have stitched on that until I finished it. It was just, it was good. I was loving that. I was really loving working on that. All right, so I had started the Witchy Stitcher Nostalgic Tarot Stitch Along, and I think I had shown some progress on that maybe last video. I got back to it and I hit it really hard, and I finished a card, and it was a big deal because these are big, dense tarot cards. So this stitch along is huge. It's like 490 something stitches or somewhere in that range by like 535. It's enormous. The reason being, the Witchy Stitcher like originally just designed a tarot card like for funsies, never knowing, like not knowing at the time they were gonna decide to do like a whole stitch along of the major arcana. And so I think when she was like designing it, she just kind of did whatever size she wanted, not thinking like I should keep these smaller because we're gonna have to fit a bunch of them. They are large and in charge, and you might be going, no, but yours is tiny. Look how little that is. Yes, because I'm doing mine 1/1 on 28 count Monaco. So basically I'm doing this on 54 count linen, basically, because it's so big. It's such a big like size piece, and I didn't want to get this humongous big piece of fabric. So I just bit the bullet and said, I'm going to do over one on 28 count. Unfortunately, 28 count Monaco it gets kind of tight. And then I dyed it black. I'm not having trouble seeing the holes really. Like, luckily that's not so much of a struggle, but it is a tight fabric. And so I can't stitch on this for too long because my fingers really start to hurt from like grabbing and pulling, just having to be a little more firm with it. And I also get like this wrist issue because so I'm left-handed, so I stitch with my left hand, but I hold my right hand on the back a certain way. And I found with this piece, I was holding my hand like a little differently. And I started to get really intense wrist pain. I would guess it might be even like a carpal tunnel. I haven't had carpal tunnel, so I don't know for sure, but, wow, like really, really painful, like flare from stitching on this too much. So I have to pace myself with this. I love the way it's looking. But I can't go like so hard because I went really hard like to get this card finished. And then I felt so good finishing it that I went on to do more frame. And then my wrist really started to hurt and I was like, all right, you have to take a break. I think what I might try to do with this is make this like a 30-minute a day project so that I'm not going too long on it, but so that I can actually get somewhere with it because it's just such a big project that it's going to take so long. There are 4 or 5 cards out already. So, I think she's releasing 2 every other month. So it's just one of those, it's so stitch heavy that I'm under no illusions that I'll get caught up, but to even like have a chance of ever finishing this in my life, like I have to keep plugging away at it. Anyway, it's looking so amazing. This is stitched with all the called for DMC, and I am doing it on 28 count Monaco over one that I dyed myself. And yeah, this border is a bear. The sides of the frame, you change color every 5 stitches. So if you can imagine, that is very tedious because you stitch 5 and then you need to change, and stitch 5 and you need to change. To try to like alleviate some of that, I'm trying to do multiple sides of the border at once. So like I did all 5. I did all 5 of these side frames at the same time. So I would do like 5 stitches of this color, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, then go change and keep going. So you're still starting and stopping, but you're not having to switch out your floss on your needle quite as much. That was definitely like a strategy that helped me get through that border a little bit. But the border is intense because besides the color changes, it's like a triple line border. It's hard to see because mine's so tiny, but the border is also lined with a white floss and then a black floss. So it's like a triple line border. So you're looking at, 1,000 something stitches just in the frame of each card. However, it looks so great. Come on. I'm not mad about it. I think it's looking incredible. It was looking so incredible that I couldn't put it down, and I just kept going until my wrist was killing me, and then I had to put it down. So, all right, what else? Oh, just a couple more things. So I am in a few ink circles around robins because why not? They're fun. They're really fun, and it's so nice to not have to. So I'm in round robins where we're stitching the mandala, like the repetitive patterns, and it's nice to not have to do the whole thing. You just do your 4th, and then you can move on. So I received, so the original, this project originally was started by Julian Stitches. She picked Ink Circles Green Damsel. So she did her 4th, and then it went to Tara, Wild Woman Crafts, and she did her 4th, and then it came to me, and I did my 4th. So this is now going to Miriam, and then it will be done. Miriam will finish it, and then send it on to Julie in Wisconsin. And she will have a completed ink circles. Look, these stitch up really fast. They're like, not all of them, but the ones like that I've been doing in my round robins are like 115 by 115, and doing your little fourth, it comes together really quick. So this is looking so great, and it's gonna be an easy finish for Miriam, and then she can send that on to Julie. Her colors are, oh, this is the floss I was talking about earlier, Night Stalker's Calling. That's the name. Blood Moon and Evergreen. These were from boxes, so probably limited edition. And then the charcoal is Mosaic Charcoal. So those are her colors. Her fabric is 36 count Picture This Plus in the color Regency. It's got a pale green. So I did stitch my portion on that, and I'm ready to send that along. All right, and then the last thing I've been stitching on, so Nuri at Shaded Stitchery, oh my gosh, she's like killing it. So I did the Queen Charlotte piece, the Queen of Sorrows and Joys. That was not a new release, that came out last year. But then for new releases, she released a set of free small patterns for Juneteenth, for just to celebrate, like, I think just, she released them maybe a week ago. And you can get those if you go to her Instagram, Shaded Stitchery. There's a link in her profile where you can get these patterns for free, or you can make it, you can pay what you want. So it's just called, I think it's called the Juneteenth free set, or Juneteenth freebie set, something like that. I'm putting a picture in. And it's just 4 patterns, and they're really small. Smaller even than I realized until I started stitching them. So I have already finished 2 of them. These, I was able to stitch these in one night, one night each, not 2 of them in one night. Over the last 2 nights, I've stitched 2 of them. They stitch up super quick. So I was finally able to grab some, like, I have all these like random scraps in my fabric bin, and I was able to finally put some of them to use. This was a 14 count Aida that I dyed myself. And so I did the first one in the set called Gather, and I used the called for DMC. And then I did Nourish. This is a 32 count color and cotton linen from like a grab bag. I don't know that it had a color. It's got like just a little bit of like a oyster kind of color to it, like a, not quite a purple, not quite a gray, not quite a white, like just one of those kind of neutrals. And I used the called for DMC for this. And then tonight I'm gonna start Celebrate, and then I will do the last of the 4, which I think is called Juneteenth. So those are free if you want to go grab those. I just feel like for me, I'm not gonna go into like a whole tangent because I want to go get my iced coffee. And also I've talked about this before, and I personally just cannot do like heavily patriotic stitching these days. I just can't do it. And if you can and you love it, like, I don't want you to feel like I'm like talking like, you know, down on you. I don't enjoy it. I can't do it. So, if you can, you know, go off, but I can't. And so it's hard in the summertime because I do kind of want to do something like summery, but I just don't want to do like all the red, white, and blue patriotic stuff. And so I love this set of patterns because it like scratches that like summer, a little bit of like an Americana, but not like so, not patriotic, you know. So I just appreciate having that alternative because now I can make these into cute little pillows and have my little summer display and feel good about it. So Nuri is like the best. She's amazing. I got to hang out with Nuri at Stitch North. I don't know if I told you guys that last video. we sat at the same table, and I got to actually get to know her, and she's amazing. So she had another pattern that she has released for Juneteenth. And this pattern is called Taking Up Space. And I think she said in her description, it's just like a celebration of like Black culture, Black joy. Just like, because she's done 2 other Juneteenth patterns, I believe. Or definitely one other one, and then she's had another pattern. I don't remember if it was for Juneteenth or not. I think it was. My memory is so bad. Oh, anyway, she's done other Juneteenth patterns that are more like truly about like the history and like more imagery like directly related to Juneteenth. And this one was more like just like, I think, like she said, just Black culture, Black joy. So I just think this pattern is gorgeous. It looks so fun. Like I want to start it really soon. But just like to get like kind of delve in and see like the patterns and the colors. Like every time I look at it, my eye goes to like a different section of it, and I see like a different detail. And I'm just like, that's so pretty. So this it just looks amazing. Like it was this instant buy. Like when she released it, I was like, yes, absolutely, yes. So I will be starting that soon this month. I don't know if I'll start it before June 19th or on June 19th. I don't know yet. Maybe it's only a week away. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, those were, that was also purchases. So, that's all my stitching. And then I have, one other like bit of purchase to show. So, I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I live very near to Sherry at Colorado Cross Stitcher. I live near her shop. So her shop used to be in Fort Collins. Right before I moved to Fort Collins, she moved her shop one town south to Loveland. So her shop is now in Loveland, but it's literally, I think, 17 minutes from my house. It's the next town over, but it's not far. So anyway, all that to say, I have a local needlework shop, and it's a shop that is run by someone who I very much respect and admire. And I hadn't visited the new shop yet. I've lived here for like 6 months, and I hadn't like made it to the shop yet, which is like criminal. There were a few times like that I was trying to like plan a meetup with like local-ish people and go, and then like one time it like snowed, like blizzarded in Denver, and we had to cancel and whatever. My work schedule is a mess. I hadn't been yet, and I was like, this is so silly. But Nati from Stitchy Nati was coming into town, and she was like, hey, I'm gonna like rent a car and drive up there, because she was coming into Denver for a conference. And so I was like, perfect, I will meet up with you. So Nati came in, and then Geraldine at Jer Stitches also was coming into town for the same conference in Denver. So they had met each other at Jacob Palooza with Evertotes in Canada. So they had met there, became friends, and then they were both coming into town for this conference. So they rented a car and drove up, and then we all met up and went to Sherry's shop, and then we went out and had lunch. And it was awesome. It was like so fun hanging out with them. So I did buy a few things while I was at Colorado Cross Stitcher. Just a couple things. So first of all, Sherry does do some designing herself. So she has her own patterns at her shop. And I had seen this pattern when she showed it on her video, like in autumn or fall. It's Words for Home Harvest. And when she showed it, I was like, oh, I need to get that. And I figured I would just buy it as like a PDF on her site. But then I think I just kind of forgot about it. So while I was in there, I grabbed these. It's not the season for me to stitch these yet, but Um, Hopefully this fall I won't forget I have this. But in person, these are even cuter. Like, I mean, they're cute on the pattern, but like she had the models obviously because she stitched these. They are so darling, so darling. So I bought that from Sherry's own design brand. And then I just randomly bought this Artsy Housewife. The Artsy Housewife is so talented, and just like, I feel like she just like came out of nowhere and just like dropped like these amazing designs, like just from the jump, and everybody like lost their heads because they're so good. They are really good designs. This one is called Pretty Bird, and I just think it's so pretty, and I got it because it doesn't look too big. Some of her designs, I will say, I think her designs are gorgeous, but they are like, some of them look really like heavy, stitch heavy. Like the borders look so cool, but they look like a lot of stitching. So I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to commit to like something that big. So I saw this one and I thought, well, that's kind of small. It's not so big, and it's like still got that style that I love. And I just think it's great. I don't know if I might like experiment with the colors a little bit. I like the colors, but I don't know. It feels like a pattern that would be like easy to customize, like with your own color palette. So we'll see. But I grabbed that, and then I also grabbed this other one from her called Dreamer, because again, this one wasn't so big. This one's only 99 by 90 stitches. So this is a much smaller one for her, and I just love it. And I don't think I would mess with the color palette on this one. I think it looks perfect. All right, what else did I get? Oh, so then Sherry has so many designers like in her shop. And she has a good section of Carriage House sampling and Kathy Barrick patterns. And so, of course, like I own almost all the Kathy Barrick patterns anyway, but I went and looked at the Carriage House samplings because those have been, you know, they've been designing for so long, and I just wasn't even a stitcher when a lot of these were coming out. And this one was on the wall and it just caught my eye. I had never seen it before. It's called Bees in Her Bonnet. And I just think it looks so cool. There's a lady down here, and her bonnet is a big bee skep, and she's got bees in her bonnet. It doesn't look like too much stitching either. Yeah, like I think this would stitch up really fast. 86 by 109 is the stitch count. So yeah, that was the new haul that I grabbed. And then Sherry had this section in the back of the store where she has like used patterns, or so, I don't know if it's like stuff that she stitched and just like is passing on the pattern, or if it's stuff that people like donate. I'm not sure, but she has just like kind of older, maybe used patterns that you can grab for like a couple bucks. So I flipped through there and I grabbed out a couple. So I got this bright needle. This bright needle pattern is called Lakeside, and I just thought it was kind of like just weird, and I liked it because it was weird. So like the pattern itself is just this house, no big deal, but then there's like words on the side, and I was like, what does that say? What does that say? It says, my needle pierceth me full of holes. It literally just says, my needle pierceth me full o' holes. And I was like, that is so weird. I need it. I need it. I'm looking for a year. 2001. That's not too old. 2001. And then she had this Barrick Samplers, a Weeping and a Blessing. And again, these were just like a couple dollars. This one is from 2000, and it says, and the rain doth fall, a weeping and a blessing. And it's just that typical Kathy Barrick style. And it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I love Kathy Barrick. She can do no wrong. She can do no wrong. All right, and then the last one I grabbed was the work basket landscape, and I just thought this looked cool, but I also grabbed it for my friend Miriam, Marumi Crafts. She collects work basket patterns. And since it was like a couple dollars, I was like, I'll just grab it, and then if she doesn't want it, I'll keep it. And so I messaged her and she's like, I actually already have that. So it's mine now. And it's called Landscape. And it's, you probably can't see all the detail in there. But there is some cool detail in this pattern. And it says, the needle is my plow with which I sew so beautifully and skillfully. This design is inspired by the style of Dutch samplers. At the bottom of the ground of these large Frisian samplers is a scene from everyday life. 2001. And the colors are really pretty, and it has this, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it has this really cool like fractured flower right here. So, all right, that is my haul. That's what I got at Colorado Cross Stitcher. Well, I got that, and then I got a fat quarter of fabric for like a project for later. I've already like kitted it up and put it somewhere, so that's why I didn't show it in the haul. Sorry. Okay, that is it for the stitching. I am going to talk about books a little bit. So if you don't want to listen to me talk about books, that's cool. It's all good. You can leave now and you won't miss anything. And if you want to hear me talk about some books, let's talk about some books. I am going to have a little like pause here because I realized I didn't grab my books. So I'm going to go grab those and we'll talk about books. Okay, so book talk. I will try to keep this brief just because I'm so thirsty. I want my iced coffee. And also, I'll be honest, I can't remember a lot about these books. I was like getting ready for the video and I was like, oh yeah, I read that. What happened in that book? Like, it's amazing sometimes how like I can read a book and it just floats right out of this brain and just is gone. It is just gone. Sometimes I'm like, well, I remember the vibes. I remember I liked it, or I remember I hated it. But like, I sometimes I just remember so very little about the book I just read. Okay, so I read A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is a romantasy novel, an adult like romantasy. So this author had written the Bridgerton series, which is on Kindle Unlimited. And if you have Audible, if you are a member and you have like the Audible Plus subscription, the monthly subscription, the Bridgerton is like one of the included audiobooks with your subscription. So I had read, I listened to the audiobooks for the Bridgerton and was like surprisingly enjoyed, like just not that I expected them to be terrible, but I just didn't have like really high expectations when I started them and like ended up really enjoying that series. I think I have one more to read in that series. Anyway, she has this new series and it's based on like Norse Viking like mythology. And I was like, well, I am intrigued. And then I heard some good reviews about this book. So I went ahead and grabbed it. It's The Saga of the Unfated, and this is book 1. Beautiful book with these like metallic sprayed edge pages. And I really enjoyed this book. So it is a romance fantasy novel. Like I said, it's Norse, like Viking inspired, or maybe more than inspired. It is set in I don't know what like the time period would be exactly. But it's like the only difference between like our world as we know it and this world is that people can be descended from like the Norse gods. Or they could be like gifted like a drop of blood from the god that gives them sorry if you could hear Arlo, he just like shook himself, it was really loud. Anyway, they can be gifted like some powers from a god. And so, for example, like if you are a child of Thor, you can wield lightning. So you can have these lesser gods that have these gifted children that can do like really weird, like super niche things. Like the main character Freya is at the start of the novel, she is married to a man who has power from some god, I can't remember which one, where he has like power over fish. So like they live in a fishing village, and he can like go out to the water and just be like, fish, come, and like just get like a whole harvest of fish. And so like the village never starves because like he can keep them provided in fish. So some of the gods' gifts are more, you know, special than others. But anyway, it is there's some magic in this world. Not, and it's rare to be like touched by the gods. Not a lot of people have it. And there, it's just accepted as like, just, that's how things are. So anyway, Freya, and this isn't a spoiler, this is like on the, you know, cover jacket. Freya is, she possesses a drop of blood from a goddess, but she has kept it hidden and kept it secret because there is a prophecy about, a child of, I forget what the god is that she's a child of. And that if, like, when a child of that god is born, you know, a king will rule, yada, yada, yada. So, her family, to protect her, has, like, kept it a secret. And, she ends up having to reveal her power. And then she is, like, kind of pressed into service with a man who wants to become king. And, he wants to use her to fulfill the prophecy to make him king. And so it's the story of her and his son, who is also God's touched, and them having like this forbidden romance because she is like more or less married to his dad. They don't like consummate the marriage, but she is bound to his dad and is forced into service for his dad. And then like she's developing feelings for this man, his son. And it's this forbidden romance, chosen one, like coming into your power, you know, like those classic like fantasy tropes, but just done in a really, I thought it was really well done. Like the writing is really easy to read, really lush and interesting. The world building's good. The tension is good. Like I really enjoyed it. I didn't have like super high hopes. So I was pleasantly surprised to be like flying through this book and just really having a good time. So I definitely enjoyed the romance and the little bit of spice we get towards the end. It's a slow burn romance. But you do get that payoff towards the end. No, it's really good. It does end on a cliffhanger, which is something, you know, it's not the worst cliffhanger ever, but it definitely is one of those where you're like, oh, really? Great. I was going to read the second one anyway, but now I have to wait for a year or however long it's going to take for the second one to come out. But it's fine. It's not like the worst cliffhanger. It's not the worst cliffhanger I've ever read, that's for sure. It's a mild cliffhanger, but I will definitely continue that series. I really, really enjoyed that. So then I read, why, I don't know, I read this Kindle Unlimited like dark romance. One of those that's always like on the book talk reel or the reels about, you know, like the unhinged, crazy dark romance of Kindle Unlimited. So I read The Ritual by Chantel Tessier, I don't know how to say that. So this is one of those that always comes up as like, oh, it's so dark and like gory and, you know, like, can you handle it? And I'm always like, hell yeah, like, let's see, you know, it's going to take a lot more than that to scare me. I have read some things. I have read Den of Vipers. Okay. I have a high tolerance. So anyway, this is just one of those that comes up as like, oh, I couldn't finish it. It was too dark for me. You know, one of those kind of books. And I was like, oh, let's see what it's all about. I will tell you, this book is awful. It is so bad. And it's not because the themes are too dark. The themes are very dark and terrible too. But that didn't scare me off. Like, it is just bad. It is so boring. It is so slow. Like, I felt like it took me forever to read this book, and I just did not care. I did not care about these characters at all. And I'm just such a completionist. Like, once I start, I'm like, I gotta finish it. So I was just trudging through. I really did not like this book. It was really bad. It's just it was so cheesy. It was so stupid. But the premise is like, they're at this college, but it's like, there's this secret society, like, club, and all these men who attend the college are in the club. And, the big thing is, like, they're celibate for like the first 2 years of school, and then the third year, if they've like proven themselves in this secret society, they are gifted a woman, to basically be like their sex doll, slave, whatever. Like, they can literally do anything they want with this woman, like whether they want to have like a sweet romantic monogamous relationship with her, or like force her to just participate in like orgies with all their friends. Like, they can literally do whatever they want with her, and she just goes along with it somehow. Like, it's not explained well, and that's why I'm saying this book is so bad, because I can get down with a far-fetched premise. Like, I don't always need my books to make sense. Like, I can suspend disbelief and just be like, it's all good. Like, we don't need to know why this works. Like, I can do that, but this was just so insane that you're just like, so why again does this happen? So anyway, he ends up with this girl, this chosen one or whatever. Or she's chosen for him. I don't know. It's so dumb, you guys. It's so dumb. Anyway, they just have a lot of like wild, super dubious consent, like sex. She's, it's like, I'm not yucking anybody's kinks or whatever, but like, she has this kink about like kind of forced or like non-consensual like things. And so he allows her like a safe space to like play that out. And I think maybe that might be where some people are like, you lost me. I forgot this happened. Really early in the book, like he drugs her, and then he drugs her multiple times. I'm sorry, this is a spoiler, but you shouldn't read this book anyway. It's not good. He drugs her multiple times in this novel. Like, literally anytime he's like, shut up, and comply, he just slips her like date rape drugs. It's bizarre. It's not good though. Like, it's not even that like the themes are so crazy. It's that it's not written well either. And it's boring, and it's just not, it's so cheesy. Like the declarations of like, you are mine and you'll do what I want and whatever. And then I'm like, I'm desperately in love with you or whatever. Like, I will kill for you. It's just all so bad. It's so bad. All right, thanks for letting me get that out. That was really bad. Like, this is why people like make fun of book talk, because like y'all are recommending stuff like this, and then people are like, I don't know, I saw it on book talk, let me check it out. And then they're like, what the hell am I reading? Like, what? Like, I don't care if a book is really bad. If it's fun, if it's a wild ride, I will be all in. But like, this book was boring and insane. So next, all right, I read Famine by Laura Thalassa. So this is the Four Horsemen series. So I had already read the first one, which is Pestilence, and the second one, which is War. And then the third is Famine, and the fourth is Death. And I really enjoyed Pestilence and War. But for some reason I had never like continued the series, like not on purpose, I just kind of forgot. So these are on Kindle Unlimited, I believe, or they have been. And I just like randomly was like, oh, I should like pick that back up. Like, I kind of forgot about that series. So I picked up Famine, the third book, and I have to be honest, I did not like this book, and I really enjoyed the first two and had a really good time with them. This third one was so boring. I felt like I was pulling teeth trying to get through this book. I don't know why. It was just so slow and it was so boring. The connection with the characters, the love between the characters, like just did not make sense for me like the way the first two did. The first two were like just made a little more sense. So these are like fantasy romance novels, spicy, Kindle Unlimited, smutty romance books. And it features the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They are sent to Earth to unleash the apocalypse, basically, but they end up like falling in love with human women. And the way, like the first one, Pestilence, like the way like that relationship develops, like it's organic and it makes sense. And then the second one, War, that one's a little fuzzier for me, but I remember liking it. But this third one with Famine, like, I don't know, I didn't get it. And it sucks because it actually had a cool, like, I thought a really cool, like, setting and premise, and I enjoyed, like, the setup, but then just the execution, I was just like, I don't get it. So it was hard to get through. I've heard the fourth one, Death. I think a lot of people really like that one, so I will keep going because I really like the first two. So I'll just finish the series. And this one wasn't like the worst thing ever. I think I gave it 3 stars. Whereas the first two, I would say, were like 4.5 stars. Like, you know, very much enjoyed those. And this one, Famine, just wasn't, I did not like this one. I just didn't like it. It was just fine. It wasn't great. But I will let you know what I think when I read Death. Okay, so new release, Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. So Abby Jimenez has become an author that I will just, like, I just trust that I'm gonna love and will buy. So she last year released a book called Yours Truly, which was one of my favorite contemporary romance novels that I read last year. So when I knew she had a new book coming out, I was like, yep, I'm there. Like, say less. I will get it. And this did not disappoint. This was so good. So what I've noticed about Abby Jimenez with her writing is like, she writes with so much like heart and soul. It's still like a light, fluffy rom-com like feeling. You still get that happy, like that love story. But she sprinkles in like some deeper topics. So like in Yours Truly, one of the characters was dealing with like a pretty severe form of anxiety. Another one had some relationship stuff. So like there's always like there's just a lot of heart. Like her characters are so like fleshed out. They feel like real people that are just like, you understand why they do the things they do, even if you don't like it. Like it makes sense because she knows her character so well, I feel like, and it just really shows. And you know, she just injects like just so much heart and soul. Like she's such a good writer. She is such a good writer. So this one had like some of those heavy hitting topics, but you still get like this sweet, cute, like, you know, pitter patter, like romance story. So this features Emma. She's a traveling nurse. Emma has had a really, really awful childhood. Her mother, she was taken out of her mother's custody, put in foster care. Her mom is dealing with like a whole lot of issues. So her mom kind of flits in and out of her life a little bit. And Emma has not been able to like settle down and have a serious relationship because of like her childhood abandonment issues. So she's a traveling nurse, so she'll just stay somewhere for like 3 months and then she's like on to the next. And then there's a man named Justin who so he posts on Reddit. This is like all in the back and like on the premise of the book. He posts on Reddit that everyone he dates, like, it doesn't work out, and then the next person they date is like the love of their life. And this has happened to Emma a few times too. She's never trying to date anybody seriously, but regardless, even when she's just casually dating somebody, they then go on to like meet the love of their life. So Justin posts on Reddit about this, and she messages him and is like, me too. And they just kind of hit it off, and then they're like, hey, let's break each other's curse. Like, if we date each other and then break up, then we'll both go on to meet the loves of our lives. So it's like this fake dating thing. Of course they fall in love. But it's just it's so fascinating because Emma has so much she needs to work through with like her childhood trauma. And Justin's going through some stuff too. And it's just so beautiful. Like, I think Abby Jimenez just really shows, like, it's just this like puzzle piece, relationship where it's like, you can see how these two like fit together and complement each other. But you can see how they have real genuine like obstacles and why those are obstacles. And even though you want to be like, no, just like forget about that and just do this, like you can see it makes sense why things might like hinder them or get in their way. And then watching them like work through things, it's just very satisfying. And yeah, I mean, just, I hope I've sold you on Abby Jimenez. Like, this is such a great like summer beach read. If you need like a fun book for summer, this was so good. And it's just like, you can just breeze through her books. Like, her writing is like snappy and fun, funny, and like I said, just still like has that heart and soul. I really, really, really have loved. I feel like I've read, this is so embarrassing though, I think I've only read like 2 books from her, and she's like my favorite. Even though I haven't even read all her books. She has a couple books I still need to read. But I will buy anything she releases. I'm buying it. I love it. I loved it. Okay, one more book and then we can go. I read so I went back to another series that I had like started reading, and it just kind of like, not like abandoned intentionally, but sometimes I just kind of forget, or I just need a break in a series. So I had read the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. I'd read the first 2 books. And so I went back and finally read the 3rd book. And these are dark, bully romance novels. So these are not for the faint of heart. These are bully romance. So it features these 4 men, I guess. It starts like they're seniors in high school, I think. And then it's like a few years later. So they're young men, and they are not how to explain this. For various reasons, they develop like complicated relationships with women, with their love interests in the books. And there's always like this bully aspect where maybe they treated them really badly because of whatever reason. But then like they still fall in love, and they're dark and spicy and twisted, and they're really fun. Like, Penelope Douglas is a compelling writer, even when sometimes some of their books I do not enjoy at all, because they tend to feature like more underage characters in like really graphic sex scenes, and I'm like, ew. I like Punk 57, like seniors in high school just having sex all over the school. I'm like, not my bag. Like, I feel like this is illegal for me to read. I prefer her novels where they are over 18. And anyway, all that to say, like, even when I'm uncomfortable with like the theme that I'm reading, the writing, where I was going with this is the writing is so compelling and so readable and so hard to stop reading. So Penelope Douglas is a great writer, but a very controversial writer. And their whole shtick is taboo romance. So whether that's bully romance, age gap romance, dubious consent, I'm trying to think of like all the different things I've read. Mostly it's bully and age gap. Devil's Night does not have age gap in it, but some of her other novels do. Credence and Birthday Girl, which are my 2 favorite. They're so good. Anyway, it's a love-hate. It's a love-hate thing. So anyway, all that to say, Penelope Douglas is not for the faint of heart. That's all I'm saying. But this bully romance. So this third book, Kill Switch, is Damon's story, and Damon is such a little shit in books 1 and 2. Like, you hate his character. You hate his character. He does, especially like, he just does some very vile things in both books, in book 1 and 2. And so you're just like, you know, this guy needs to die. Like, he is the worst. Yet, this book, like, kind of gives you some insight into, like, why he is lashed out and behaved the way he has. And, you know, by the end, you're, like, rooting for him to have this love, and to, like, rejoin his friend group, even though he has, like, literally been the worst. But yeah, it's so compelling. That's the best word I can come up with. Like, compelling. Even if it's not, like, good, it's like hard to not read. It's so hard to put down. Super spicy, taboo. I had a good time with it, though. I liked it. I had a good time, and I'm excited about the next book, which I think is Will's book. So yeah. Okay, so that's it. I read. I feel like I really wanted to keep this short, and I feel like it wasn't. Not at all. So I'm gonna go get my iced coffee, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.